Councilmember Price.
Thank you, Madam President. On advice of City Attorney, I'm recusing myself from item 5 because my wife's employer has worked with recipients of HHAP funding.
Item 5. Very good. Thank you. Any other specials, members?
I am here to ask all of you to stand here in the City of Angels in dignity and respect for what's happening to workers in our city. It is a city of angels for some, and it is a city of hell for others. Hilda Mendez works as a janitor over 30 years. Ana Castro on my t-shirt. We recognized her, but nobody asked her why she's in a wheelchair after cleaning 60 toilets a night at the Wells Fargo building here in downtown LA. Jovan Houston suffers from OCPD, fighting for black worker justice in South LA in the airport. No more recognition, brothers and sisters. You have the power to sign on to the living wage, to raise the living wage, and you don't need a study. This is your study. This is your study. The workers' expertise is your study. And I'm happy to stand with you in March and stand this May Day with immigrant workers and black workers, but we do not need more recognition. We need actions. Everybody knows that the darker that California gets, the lighter the funding. The darker that the workers get, the stronger the exploitation. And the darker that the state of California gets, those voices get softer. So this International Workers' Day, on behalf of the black workers that are fighting for black worker justice at LAX, on behalf of the janitors that are scrubbing toilets humbly for a living, let's do what's right. So I have one question for you. ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. And that's a question. It's not just what Cesar Chavez said and what Mike Garcia and what janitors and workers have said. It's a question. ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. ¿Se puede on raising the living wage at the airport? Sí se puede. Se puede for the janitors that are fighting the developers right now so that they can actually protect themselves on workload. Sí se puede. So, brothers and sisters, no more recognitions. Thank you for that. But what we want is actions, not just words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and thank you so much, Councilmember Padilla and Soto Martinez and all of our labor leaders that are here. This is always a special day for me and a special day for this city. My dear sister Angelica Salas, who we started off as organizers together, I want everybody to know she called me and said, you got to be at this march on May 1st in the year 2000. And so we did a big mobilization from Community Coalition, and we went there, and it was so gorgeous. It was every kind of people from every corner of the city walking down the street, marching in unity as workers. And your colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, managed to get arrested that day. And so May 1st, 2000 and May 2nd, 2000 are the only days I've ever spent inside a prison involuntarily. And I have my good friend Angelica to thank for bringing me to that event.
Councilmember Price, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Thank you for holding John Lee accountable, whether he was a chief of staff or a council member. Follow the dang rules.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. Another big round of applause is in order here.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Just public comment. Thank you very much.
So you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Thank you very much. Today I was at the neighborhood committee enrichment today, and I just want to say, Ulysses, you ran a very good meeting. And this is coming from a Republican conservative. You actually ran a very good meeting, and you asked them very poignant questions. I appreciate that, believe it or not. But one thing, unfortunately, that certain people, the mayor's office potentially, is keeping this council ignorant is the allowing of convicted registered sex offenders on neighborhood councils. Next Wednesday is my 6th person I have to go to their criminal proceeding to have them removed from the neighborhood council because they're a convicted registered sex offender. I wish you, Ms. Hernandez, you would address why Dunn is allowing convicted sex offenders.
Speaker,
on
please do not
neighborhood
yell into
council.
the
Please don't
microphone.
yell into the microphone. You can injure the people who are doing translations. To everybody speaking, please do not yell into the microphone. It is
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
All items, please, and general public comment.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
Great, thank you. Oh, bye, Tracy. So we have some stars for the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We have Dave Chappelle, Chris Hemsworth. I don't think either of those people are really worth giving a star to, but it doesn't really matter whose name is on the star because there's going to be shit on it eventually because there's nowhere to use the bathroom on Hollywood Boulevard. We also have an extension of a temporary closure of 121st Street between Figueroa and Hoover for the reasons of public safety. That's a pretty big stretch of street. All this motion does is say we need to close it to keep people safe, but then it doesn't outline any course of action about reopening it, what measures are being taken to make it safe, what the actual safety issues are. It just says we need to shut this down to keep it safe, and that is so vague. And I know that neighborhood councils, they don't get away with having such vague language in their motions. It's not raining out, but we still have an emergency order for rain. I don't know what that's about. We also have a lot of REAP motions. Okay, so let's talk about REAP. So first of all, let me say what it stands for: Rent Escrow Account Program. Okay, so when your landlord lets roaches crawl over your floor, won't replace your broken refrigerator, the heat is not working at night, you're so cold. The problem with REAP is that all the landlord has to do is give you what you paid for, then they get all their money. They don't pay penalties for renters. Tell me, how could that be sweet? What we need from REAP is a mandated break from rent to benefit the tenant and encourage the landlord's diligence in fulfilling their part of the contract. Lots of REAP. That's lots of REAP. And normally when I break a contract, the other person doesn't have to hold up their end of the bargain, but for renters, that's not how it works. We had some other motions today. We had a lien, an abatement and lien. So first we say abate, then we lien. And these are like standard regular motions that we see a lot on the agenda, right? But then it begs the question, why aren't we doing more to prevent the scenarios that give us this busy work in the first place? So we have on item 1 here, protests, appeals for, that's the abatement. Again, first we say abate, then we lien. The abatements and the liens, they're just never ending. I don't know, maybe the city is just not doing the best it can here. So I'll go ahead and move on to general public comment.
Okay.
Hugo and Unisys have lots to say to the DSA. But then in meetings, when they cast their vote, a few things to note. They usually go with the consensus of this corrupt body and approve funding for police and landlords, or things like big rewards for snitches. How could that be socialist? I forgot to mention it, yeah, the DSA is bullshit. They're a psyop, they're a scheme for campaign money laundering. The candidates they support uphold the status quo. They don't want to give us housing. They don't want to fund the schools. All they want is a good career. The DSA is bullshit. Missed you on Sunday, Ulysses. Shout out to Smoke and Scan. Be nice to Candido, though, because he's a good guy.
Patrick McOsker, speaking on general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
I want to just start by thanking the Neighborhoods Committee for this morning taking up the issue of access, fair, affordable access for everybody to the city's golf courses, and especially thanks for amending it to address the same for high school golfers, golf teams. Appreciate that very much. And thank you all for, owning golf courses. As you take up the budget, I hope you will consider the issue of high school golf access and costs and fees so that you can, count on what it'll cost, and we can count on what it'll cost as well. I want to tell you that I think that the policy could be better, but more importantly, thanks for giving us access to your golf courses, and thanks for owning them. Golf courses, whoever invented municipal golf deserves a Nobel Prize, in my opinion. For those of you that think of golf as an elitist sport for the rich and pampered, I don't blame you, because for the first 100 years in this country, it certainly was. And then somebody maybe sitting around this horseshoe thought, why don't we build golf courses that everyone can afford to play? And thanks to that, we can have high school golf teams out there getting the benefit from your courses. So thank you guys very much. I hope you'll continue to support that.
Next speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
All items and public comment, please.
So you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Thank you, sir.
Please begin with the items.
Thank you. In regards to the stars on Hollywood Boulevard, some of the stars don't really deserve them. But what I think about is when you're coming into Hollywood now, because my family used to own hotels in Hollywood back in the 70s and 80s, and I thought about, it was rough back then, but today, as I drive in from the valley, all that graffiti that's along the way there, just graffiti on the bridges, if we could clean up that along with cleaning up the boulevard, someone who's very special, Mr. Frankie Valli, who I had the opportunity to meet and work with in Las Vegas, deserves that star. I don't know why it took so long for him to get the recognition, but that is one gentleman who really, really deserves that star. Let me just move on to public comments, sir. May I?
General public comment. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Since 2020, I've come before this council to talk about what's happening on Reseda Boulevard. This Sunday, a gentleman in a Tesla was going approximately 140 miles, flew through E.T. Park. Thank God there was a big tree that stopped him. He died. He caught the tree on fire. But a new family had just moved into the house that was above there. And had that tree not been there, we would have probably had 3 kids and 2 parents killed because of that impact. How many times do I have to come before this council and ask you to reverse the previous council and some of the members that are here today, what they ruled on as far as that parking after 6 p.m.? You have to take that back and restrict parking in some of these areas. We are going to have such a tragedy one day in this area, and all you have to do is change it. You could save a life. So please take a look at that and make Los Angeles safer. Thank you, Mr. President.
And again, the bigger, broader idea of using our opportunity here to input and talk about what's going on at City Council, being able to click a link, seeing what is being done, see the report. And some of these items, you can actually see the report. Most of these you can't. That's the continuing message that I want to talk about when we talk about items open for public comment, because people come in here and have no idea what's going on in the agenda. They try to connect to the people with maybe a song to talk about a particular item,
you're welcome
like
to speak
item
to
number
this during
20.
General public comment?
No. You took up 1 minute of my time trying to explain the rules that I understood. I get
So,
one more
again,
item. I get 1 more
stick
minute
to the
on
item.
item number 20. 1 more minute on item number 20, then 1 more minute on general public comment. So I get 2 more minutes.
Continue.
So item number 20 is relative to that closure on 121st Street. We already heard about it. There actually is a reason described in page 6 of an attached document. So again, I've looked through these documents when I come here and say, what is available? There's a little paragraph from the police officer over there that says there's prostitution going on there. There's violence, there's burglaries. But if you're just clicking around, you can't just see that information easily. So that stretch of land, property, that's going to be closed for an extended period of time, and all these documents, all they do is kick the can down the road, as somebody else said. There's no actual solution in here other than to keep that property closed because of, if you look into it, these kinds of things. So on general public comment.
General public comment.
I'd like to take my minute to talk about the Charter Reform Commission. Again, the way that the public interacts with the city of Los Angeles could be better. Let's talk aspirational. What could we do? And that's what this charter reform could do. We're going to pick up the number of city council districts. That's a hot topic. I hope you talk about public comment. I hope you pick up ranked choice voting instead of a primary and a runoff that costs so much money, extends the period, it gives more opportunity for corruption and problems and using your offices to campaign. But still, I believe in democracy. I like elections. I think I come here because I have faith in the power of the podium, of the people, to come here and talk some truth, engage with the city council members, and if it is a democracy, then in the campaign process, put some good ideas out there to solve these problems that are ranging from, you could name it, but that's only a minute. You can follow me at Vote Patel on Twitter.
Okay, item number 1 again refers to this REAP bullshit. So I'm advising people to take the dash bus that runs along First Street, heads west, goes down to Figueroa, makes a right, goes about 3 blocks, makes a left, get off at that stop, go back around the corner, go up the stairs. That's the building that has the REAP offices in it. Go up the stairs, go to the 11th floor. Bring your paperwork with you. Get any paperwork they offer you. You have an administrative code and you have a municipal code. You'll get charged with both violations. You have to go there and get information from them. It's the only place. They've done away with REAP hearings. They used to have REAP hearings, but they don't do that anymore because they're privatizing the government here. Ever since the new normal, and somebody came in and shot somebody's son who was on the negotiating committee for the union labor. But that's a different story. So now, 19, is it recycle or recycle? It's another grant. Grants are for 20 years. There's so much crap all around the city, it's impossible. You need to wear waders up to your asshole because of all the shit all around. Number 14 refers to a local emergency for, what was it for? Rain. So the county, back in, January 12th of 2016, refers to a storm-related damage. So what is the county doing that the city isn't doing? You're pulling each other in each direction. It's the biggest scam in America. This is the most corrupt county in the whole country, in the whole freaking world. You have a metro board, you have a city council, and you have a county board. But Metro supersedes everything. It's its own private government. It's so fucked up. Now, number 24 refers to Outdoors for All Act. Is that a local act? Is that a federal law, like the Affordable Care Act that was signed into law by President Barack Obama, which would have guaranteed affordable care for all low-income people? But the guy who got involved with the contract with the county said, fuck it. I'm going to steal that money, $660 million, went out and built the stadium in Englewood and said, fuck you.
General public comment.
General public comment is about we need more equality, not equity. And this discussion about neighborhoods of color. Are they black? Are they brown? I've got coverage right here. This logo is for public health. That's a white logo. But on this paper, that's a black logo. What about a brown logo? Where's the brown community at? There is no brown logo. What about Oriental people? What about Asians? What about Koreans? Who settles in this county? What about Jewish people? Why are Jewish people being excluded? What about Christians? I heard about the City of Angels. If you walk down the street at 8th and Hope, you'll see a sign that says you're living in a city of angels, but they put a top on the L. So how can it be an angel if it's a top on top of the L, and on the bottom, that's not an L?
Speaker, your time has expired. Next speaker. Mr. Sachs, we need you to vacate the podium so we can move on to our final speaker. And Mr. President, I've been told that there are no one else has signed up after this for in-person, so after the speaker, it
Yes,
looks like we've
asshole.
exhausted public comment in the chambers. Good morning. Which
Yeah.
items would you like to speak to?
Yes, Pumpkinhead. All the motherfucking items and general fucking comment.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
Yes, and we have number one. Why, that dirty little cunt Nithya ramen noodle on number one. 22,000 goddamn fucking dollars for a cleanup? Oh, she's not here today. Good, stay home in shame. No, she's hiding from the union members. Of course. Then we have number fucking 14. We have a goddamn emergency. At UCLA, we have an emergency. But this is about water. There's no goddamn water emergency. Fuck number 14. About 15. 15? That's the CD10? The unelected Heather Hutt? She shouldn't be voting on this. I say no to this. And then the indicted one on number 16, yes. Excellent job. And then, of course, Pat McOsker, that now we know there is a Tim McOsker, on number 17. I don't know which McOsker, but we will support it. And then number 18, the indicted one, makes a return. And a reap. Excellent job. We support it. And then recycle, or is it recycla? I don't recycle anything. I just take it and I give it to Eunice, and I think she throws it in the garbage, and then it goes into the ocean to be eaten by whales. Then we have Figueroa and Hoover Street. Yes, Pat McOsker, known as Tim, knows that's a fucking dangerous gang shithole, and he wants to clean it up and close it for an 18-month additional period. I will make a friendly amendment. Well, let's extend it to 50 years. Oh, okay. That's right. Good. He's cleaning up the mess left after Janice Hahn and the late Mike Bonin. Then we have Dave Chappelle on item 21. He did a beautiful thing, bringing us the attention of the KKK. And don't forget Marchese's favorite skit, The Racial Draft. Remember that? Yeah, that's right. The Wu-Tang crew was adopted by the blacks. Or was it the Asians? Yes. Perfect. A racist comedian being honored on a star. I fully support it. Then we got Frankie Valli, the guy that sings like a little queer. And of course we support it because, as Hugo knows, Hollywood is filled with queers. No steers, just queers. And then we have Chris Hemsworth. Who the fuck is that? What the hell did he do? He's not in prison. Oh, okay, then we don't support it. Only racists and felons we support on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The rest of you can go fuck yourselves. And now
General
we have
public
the
comment?
general comment. Yes, 50 Guns, known as Candido, talked to me about John Lee. And we were a little hard on the other day, so we just want to take a step back and note that John Lee's not that bad of a guy, so we just want to make a partial apology. You're not as bad as Donald Trump, and you're not as bad as Curran Price. Why? I don't know why, but thank you for noting that. We will now separate, and the critics note that. Okay, I'm noting this. Separate Stafford B. John Lee from the Donald Trump Curran Price bucket. Chuck. Yes, very good. It's a substantial upgrade. And finally, how come we're missing the two Jewish community members here? Passover was over, and Passover is a devil holiday. Now you may return to work. Finally, thank you to UCLA and the Palestinian protesters. Fuck the Jewish students at UCLA.
Speaker, your time has expired. Again, so it looks like we've exhausted public comment. Mr. Sachs, this is your first and only warning. Please do not disrupt this meeting. We need to move on to public comment on the phones.
Now we have two people disrupting the meeting. All right. We'll go to phones now for 15 minutes.
Shout out to the Go Coffee in the house. doing things, putting
Speaker,
down.
I can't tell which item you're speaking to, and a shout out to the Goat Puppet is not on the agenda. So please identify the item you're speaking to, or I'm going to move you to general public comment.
Well, how about Mr. I can't give a shout out to the Goat Puppet today. He's doing big
So
things.
I've asked you to identify the items. I'm going to move you to general public comment. So you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Do your thing there, brother. All right, anyway, as I was saying, shout out to the smoker can community. Damon, you're doing big things, you know.
Being May Day, first let me recognize Hugo Soto Martinez and Marquise Dawson for standing with the unions, being arrested on their causes. That's what a council person does, represent his people. Second, number two, the Scarlet Letter. People getting elected by any people that are lobbyists should wear a Scarlet Letter. That way they know who's represented them, who paid them, and who they owe those favors to. Number five.
So, Speaker,
does anyone
item
here,
number
other than
5 is
I,
not open for public comment. So the items that are open for public comment are 1, 14 through 24, and 25 and 26. So you're welcome to speak to those items, or you can speak to the other items during general.
Okay, 1, 14, 15, 18 are all REAP items. You guys called quorum, a city attorney, and you counted out 10 people. Yet your first vote showed with Price recusing himself as 11-0. How do you get an 11 count vote with 10 people in the quorum, as you counted out at the beginning of the meeting? Sorry for paying attention, but someone has to, since city council people don't. You counted out 10 people for quorum, and then you voted out 11-0 on your first vote. Those are REAP items. Paul Corcoran is a landlord. He should not be voting on anything doing with rent control or anything doing with landlords. So I'm sorry for paying attention, but are you guys going to go back and change what you guys do and then be called out on Los Angeles Times that you did it and lied to in court? This is getting ridiculous here that no one's paying attention to what you guys do, and you guys don't pay attention to the people. Let me go to public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Monica Rodriguez, yesterday on number 21, you said good intentions is a tool of gentrification. Like the historic communities should not be displaced for backing up Ms. Hernandez. But yet you're going to put the light rail in Pacoima doing exactly, you know, a serpent has a split tongue. Why do you do this? You want to sound good? Be good. You're going to displace Pacoima in your district. And everything you said to back up Ms. Hernandez about displacing the historical area you represent, Ms. Hernandez, with that light rail, you could care less, right? Because your intentions were good. Someone's good idea is going to displace that small community. We get together once a time for Cinco de Mayo, that won't be there no more. Panorama City, again, having that fair in the middle of Van Nuys Boulevard, that won't be there no more. It's okay.
Next caller.
Yeah, I would just want to echo Stacy's concerns. Like, why are we still declaring a local emergency regarding rain in February? Like, we get shit on for taking rain too seriously in LA and freaking out, and we got a state of emergency from a storm in February? Move to my general public comment. Just absolutely absurd to see you guys praising May Day. At the same time, Bob just so happens to schedule the only public comment at a budget hearing the exact time that people are really heading to Hollywood for that protest. It really didn't make sense to me at first because it was like, y'all usually want to speak at these things. What's the issue? And then I realized I saw the graphic showing that they were calling out genocide, and that's a step too far for Bob. I would be surprised if he scheduled it intentionally just as a fuck you. What happened at UCLA last night is absurd and disappointing to see a lack of leadership from the council member, both sidesiness. You can't identify whose safety is being threatened by who, despite fireworks, bear mace, lasers being deployed. mere possession of those things is banned by law, but we don't apply that to right-wingers, only lefties. Someone could get shot in cold blood, and you motherfuckers would describe that as a flash. We had a thank you to the mayor and LAPD. LAPD sat around with their hands on their asses for like 4 hours.
Okay. Speaker, your time has expired. Next caller.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have a song this morning. I'm glad there was a presentation on May Day, and think that if council members are going to celebrate May Day, they must really lift up the internationalist history of the day and what that means today, particularly. And one thing that means today is recognizing the working people in Palestine being absolutely decimated by American-made weapons, some that are manufactured and supplied from our city and port, and the decades of U.S.-backed settler colonial violence that has been ongoing in Palestine. That means recognizing how students in this city standing up against the genocide in Palestine that so few of you have even said anything about, like the students at UCLA last night, are being violently targeted for speaking out against the institutional complicity in the genocide being perpetuated by Zionist forces in Palestine. And to that point, anyone who's talking about International Workers' Day today in LA should be talking about the ways in which U.S. domestic police agencies, particularly the LAPD that was sent in to target anti-genocide USC students last week, share tactics and technologies with those same forces in Israel and use our communities from
Caller, your time has expired. Next caller.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn, and I'd like to speak on the available items and also a general public comment.
So you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
Well, is that an option? I'd like to speak on the general public comment first. Is that an option?
No, please start with the items first, and then you can move to general public comment.
All right. Okay. Fair enough, Grote. I'm not going to quibble with the quibbler. We're going to declare a local emergency. Apparently, we declared yet another one. But this one has to be about the horrible corruption, because Bloomingfield is going to try to make for the exit, but the emergency on item 14 is going to prevent that, because having 60 seconds on a massive budget, which is a dramatic reduction on the public comment that's been offered previously, is simply an affront to open government and the right of the people to oversee the instruments. And by instruments, I mean tools, in the case of Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Harris Dawson, and Blob Liebenfeld. I want to thank Pat McCosker for identifying that municipal golf is so important, and shame Nithya Raman and Paul Krikorian about their abnegation of their professional responsibility about Weddington, which is the beloved part of Studio City, the heart, the lungs of Studio City, that are being destroyed by an imperious bunch of aristocrat billionaires who don't give a shit about the people of Studio City, as they constantly prevaricate and lie about what's available for the people given this horrible project that they've put forward. I want to thank Chappelle and Hemsworth for coming out for their Walk of Fame stars, and echo what Cigar Bollinger said, which is good luck finding a place to crack a leak. And, you know, this is not, Mr. Soto Martinez, I direct this to you because I know that you also appreciate cracking a leak after several margaritas, but buddy, we can't have a system or an urban public space without restrooms. I know Don Knabe and all the badass right-wingers made everyone believe, including Krikorian, that bathrooms are the enemy of the people because they prevent, you know, they encourage bad things. Also, in item number 11, when you make a note about AB...
Speaker, item number 11 is not open for public comment, so you can speak to it during general, but please stick to the items for now.
Right, that's the one about the... Okay, fine, that's the one about the Ralph M. Brown Act. Fine, I'll go back to the ones that I can speak on, like the government ethics ordinance, number 2. Here you have Paul Krikorian.
Speaker, item number...
1,600-something days. What's that? Sorry, Grote? Is 2 not available?
Item number 2 is not open for public comment, so please stick to the items that are open, or I can move you to general public comment if you'd like.
Okay, so the one about government transparency has been whisked off to the back room. Okay, fine. Yeah, let's go to the general public comment, because I don't want the people to have to wait. I want as many people to get in as possible. So here's my general public comment. You ready? The whole idea of denying virtual, thank you. The whole idea of denying virtual comment at committee meetings is on the table, okay? That is as corrupt gets. And you can serve it on a nice little papyrus right over to Paul Krikorian, who has served up to the people of Los Angeles the biggest insult in 25 years of relative improvements to the way people can participate. He has set us back. He makes Herb Wesson look like Mr. Clean. Okay, this is very, very bad. We need to open immediately the right for people to give comments on these agendas, and including the budget, which is more than one item, Blumenfield. Don't be stupid. Really, it makes you look so bad to defend these draconian, and we're not stupid. It looks like Krikorian was the one who gave so much, and now Bob's the bad guy. It's all the same horrible trajectory away from public input.
Your time has expired.